So this video is going to be about the Ascended Heroes. I keep mistakenly calling it Ascended Masters. It's not. That is a Magic the Gathering thing, I think. Uh, Ascended Heroes situation, which is that there is far not enough of the product available to satiate the demand of the absolutely relentless market. This is something that other people have talked about. This is something that is annoyingly very very present across all of the TCG right now, and it is especially annoying because it sets the precedent for how the situation is going to get worse in the future. So if we look at the situation right now with Ascended Heroes, it is a really good set that has really valuable, really playable, enjoyable cards. However, people don't care about that. People aren't playing this like a TCG. People are playing this and using the cards more like a kind of collectible market reserve kind of source of income. People are playing it, I guess, in three different ways. As a reserve source of income, they just keep the boxes on the shelf, not in the way that they're supposed to. They buy everything that they physically can. They hold it for like a couple of weeks and they flip it to other scalpers who believe that they will get more money for it. In other words, as we discussed in a previous video, I think both previous videos actually at this point, it is stupid people playing to stupid people. It is people who cannot do money, who do nothing but lose money, playing a game with other people who have the same situation, the same sort of mental setup, if you would like to put it that way, where they will only lose money, and it becomes a giant pit. And this is how bubbles form. This is how we get a bubble. People are going to continuously invest, quote unquote, invest in Ascended Heroes as if it were rare, as if it were a product that is something that we are, never going to get any more reprints of. And maybe we won't. But if you think that the Pokemon Company won't do a best of arts set in the future, you are very much so mistaken, because they've done a trainer gallery set. They know that their artwork is gorgeous. They know that their artwork is beautiful. They will reprint some of these arts. What happens to your cards when that happens? What happens when the print facility comes online and all of a sudden we see a situation where all of the sets that were rare are now all of a sudden very common? The market can only absorb so much product. It can only take so much from the sort of ecosystem, the purchasing ecosystem of this game or any game. And overall, it really doesn't reflect well on people who are now currently. They have I debated on whether or not to even bring this up, because it's an individual seller who's, quite frankly, absolutely taking the piss. They have listed, I won't even show the image because it can be reverse Google image search. They have listed 25 Ascended Heroes ETBs for £25,000. Something like that. I can check the screenshot actually. £25,000. And for people who want the set, people who want those cards, they will think actually that is a really fair price, and they will think that's it's an investment opportunity. This set came out, I believe, on February the 26th. I could be wrong about the specific day, but it came out in February. There is no rareness to this set other than the artificial scarcity that is being forced upon the set itself. That and the massively accelerated print runs that the Pokemon TCG is doing makes it so that overall, we don't have the chance to get the cards that we wish to get. And yes, there are some absolutely gorgeous cards in the set. Many, many wonderful cards that are in Ascended Heroes. Especially, I would argue, the Mega Dragonite and lots of other examples. Gengar, there's multiple Dragonites in here because he is the cover card. And we've got some gold, rare, shiny cards. We've got some full arts that are pretty nice. We've got lots and lots of really interesting cards in this set. We've got a Pikachu. We've got two Pikachus, actually, who are wonderful and playful and silly. And so the issue isn't at all, in my opinion, the fact that there is, whether or not there is or isn't value in the cards. There is value in the cards. The cards are beautiful. The cards are what people are kind of going a little bit insane over. The issue is the market and the supply and demand problem. People are going absolutely insane over these cards. Now, to talk a little bit about some of the art as well, I'll jump back and forward between the topics. Some of the art is very sort of reminiscent of when I last mainly got involved in Pokemon TCG. This kind of big, bold, Japanese or whichever foreign text art kind of wrapped around the images. I'll probably get an example up if I edit this video. Or maybe just look it up yourself. The alt art for Mega Gengar, Mega Scrafty, and Mega Dragonite, that kind of wrapped around where the text is a part of the art. That is very nostalgic for a lot of people, and reflects when they first got into the game. So yes, I see that there is a reason to buy into these cards. There is never a question of the value of if there is value in these cards. The question is, are you willing to pay the equivalent of a brand new car for ETBs? Are you willing to rip yourself off so severely in the hopes, or perhaps against, the idea that there will be reprints? That the print facilities won't come online in 2027, 2028, and start releasing the backlog of cards that they have? It will happen. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has printed its oldest, most expensive sets into oblivion now. They're worth £40 a box, £50 a box, something like that. You can get them from retailers for a slight markup, but they are worth ultimately £40–50. So they are not worthless, but they don't hold a huge amount of value. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a completely different situation than this, obviously, but do you really think that the Pokemon Company couldn't do that? Do you really think that they couldn't print all of these wonderful arts in either a collection series, but like the trainer galleries, or print a set with exclusively these arts, or more to the point, more as is more likely, print the art, print the set again completely from scratch, have a best of set. There's lots of different things that they could do. They could reprint the set into oblivion, as they've done before, as other sets have pointed out, other people have pointed out. They could reprint it into oblivion, and what are you going to do then? Again, we are seeing a huge amount of inflation in the value of any of these cards. It doesn't make sense when you look at it from an actual realistic, sensible perspective. Everybody is so paranoid that they are going to miss out, that they are, in fact, going to overspend. They're going to spend far too much money on cards that it doesn't make sense for them to spend money on, because they will probably be reprinted, and if they don't get reprinted, the next set will come along, and the next lot of value in the product will be assigned, and people will not see what they have got in front of them. Say, if it's a case of ETBs, of Ascended Heroes, or it's a case of booster boxes of Ascended Heroes, people will not see it as an investment, they will see it as a loss. Like LGS's, local game stores, see product that they cannot move not as an asset, they see it as a problem. So as a result, you get, well, the tertiary market buys it out. We'll buy anything that we can afford. And some people will buy far more than they can afford, which is not good. Again, I am anti that. I don't think you should be spending more than you can afford on cardboard. Overall, realistically speaking, people need to get their head checked, because this whole setup is screaming of a artificial scarcity that they are making themselves, that the people are making themselves. It's not the Pokemon Company, I don't think. They are making it themselves, and as a result, the Pokemon Company profits, because they will take note of what is needed. They will print the set into oblivion, seeing the demand, not seeing potential lost income. They will see the demand, and they will print it into high hell. And as a result, well, what are you going to do about it? All of those sets, all of those boxes, all of those booster boxes, everything that you bought that is Ascended Heroes will be worth nothing. Or worth maybe a couple of £10 notes more than the initial amount that you bought them for. Which, by the way, an ETB costs £55 recommended retail price. I don't expect it to cost that when you realize there is more value to the product than the asking price. That's fine. You can say it's 65, 75, you can even say it's 85, but when we're talking about £500 per ETB on this listing, £500, it was something like £514. That is a level of scalping that is unbelievable. And it wasn't the only listing that was like that. Right now, eBay is absolutely full of these ETBs, Ascended Heroes, that are completely and totally overpriced, that are completely and totally skewed in favor of a massive, broad profit. That is greed. That will hurt you in the end. And overall, the market will respond as it has responded so far. Say 11 views per day, but nobody buys. Nobody makes an offer. You'll be stuck with this product like Toys R Us was stuck with old releases for many years. There was no way to shift them until other stores came along and bought up their stock for, fractions of the price that they bought it for. So, and that was one of the things that was stated to have claimed, have actually laid claim and led ruination to one of my favorite stores, which is Toys R Us. And that's a place we can never visit again, because, again, you will have the same effect on a much smaller scale. Having stock that does not sell rots stores, rots store shelves. That space that is not being filled with new products that people are interested in, that is being held as a spot for perceived value, is overall going to be rotten, rotten stock. It won't move. And then the tertiary market will buy it all up, if you're lucky. Again, I consider myself a very small YouTuber. I'm a very small part of this whole thing. I'm just starting out. I mostly don't deal with sealed product. I mostly deal with single cards, though I do hope to change eventually. But when the sort of situation is how it is, I'm looking at other card games and I'm thinking, holy shit, that is not only fertile ground, that is like so much potential to just ease stress, I would say, because this whole situation does, for a person who's trying to, one, enjoy the game, two, actually get involved in a community again, because I've been out of the community for probably a couple of years or something like that. And three, like, as a way of actually trying to connect with family members and get back into the Pokemon TCG and teach my kids how to play the TCG, it doesn't work because I can't get the cards. Again, there's some wonderful cards. I would love to pull any of the full arts from Ascended Heroes, but it's not going to happen. I am not paying £500 for an ETB. ETB, by the way, for people who are not sort of in the know with Pokemon TCG, an ETB is considered the entry level, the open, like the sort of set that you first get to get into the game. It's one step above the opening, what do they call it? Let's Learn to Play, or whatever they call it, the decks. It's one step above that, but it is sort of an interesting jumping off point. People do really like ETBs. If I was, I mean, this is the thing, thinking about it, when I'm looking at all of the art, I've got the art up on my screen right now. Looking at it, I wouldn't pay a tenth of what they were asking for one ETB. The value that you get from them is much less than the value that they are offering. But again, it's obvious to me that it is a cash grab, and cash grabs don't fall for them. Just let the product rot on the shelves, and then if you're doing what I'm doing, which is buying up cards that people don't want, buying up things that people don't see value in, buying up things that people don't really care about, but will ultimately, if things continue as they are, will appreciate and value, then overall just wait for them to get tired, get attrition sets in, and overall they will realize, oh, I got to get rid of these cards, these dud cards that everybody told me was going to sell, but just isn't going to sell. And that will happen because it's happened before. And people will fire sell their cards. Singles will go for pennies, probably, or for very little, for way less than they're asking for. It's happened before. It will happen again. And let me just sort of talk about the after side of that. So, for most people, it will be, I bought a product, it didn't sell, I'm stuck with the product, I sold it for ridiculously low amount of money compared to, the perceived value that I added to the card, or that the inflated market added to the cards, or just the single or whatever. When you buy the products that they are rejecting, that they are getting rid of, and hold on to them, and it's sealed and it's in a box, or even if it's just loose booster boxes or whatever, you will get silly amounts of growth happen. Because right now, what we're seeing is not normal. Again, Rudy from Alpha Investments, brilliant guy. He's one of the people who got me onto the TCG stuff, in terms of like an investment idea, and kind of taught me how to do it properly, through his YouTube videos. YouTube videos, YouTube videos. I can't speak today apparently. Uh, so definitely check him out. He doesn't need my promotion, but it's good to promote the people who helped actually inspire you to get into something, I suppose. Uh, he is one of the people who has highlighted that no matter what the set is, no matter what the product is, no matter what anything that we're doing is, uh, you will gain money just by sitting on the product. So long as it's an active, healthy uh, card game like Weiss Schwarz, uh, the Bunko Babes, as many people are calling it, One Piece basically. Uh, Universes is probably a good one to invest in. There's loads of smaller ones, Sorcery Contested Realms, like all of these card games. There is so much that you could get value wise by not being greedy. Hold some product, hold a bit of product, hold a case, a shelf, a whatever. Buy old product that people don't care about. Sit on it for 10, 15, 20 years. Chances are that it will appreciate in value ridiculously. Again, this is a game that, when you go all the way back to the initial release, there is always a bubble. We've never seen a bubble this big. And we've never seen a sort of community so intent on buying into the bubble because they think, well, Pokemon cards are rare, Pokemon cards are expensive, they're valuable. I gotta be honest, let them think whatever they want to think. It just further adds more gas to the bubble, and eventually it will pop. Afterwards, we have a streamlining period where everything adjusts, and we're gonna get to that part very soon, I think. Everything adjusts, and then all of a sudden it turns out either one set of people is right and Pokemon TCG actually had a whole warehouse full of that product. Maybe we'll see. Or the printing runs come online, or maybe nothing at all happens. Maybe simply the interest in the product wins, and now the scalpers are stuck with dead product. Dead product estimated at £500 ETB is still dead product. One of those three things will happen. Or maybe all three will happen. Who knows? This is a chaotic universe after all. We will get to a point where the bubble will completely burst, market will flood, and maybe it will lead to a second wave of scalping. That's happened before, not with Pokemon, but with other card games, especially when the Logan brothers get involved, and then the market will relax. When the market relaxes, for the specific product, ETBs, booster boxes, whatever, it will start to appreciate in value because everybody's opening. Everybody is opening these packs. Most people are not keeping them sealed. They will open these packs, and overall there will be less of them. And when there is less of them, there is actual scarcity, there is actual rarity to them. So in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time, your one box might be all there is in the wild, in the population at all. So regardless of if Pokemon Company floods the market with new Ascended Heroes packs, booster boxes, purses. I don't know. People like the purses. I don't care for the purses. Not bothering. It doesn't really bother me. It's the kind of thing that I think my sister would probably be interested in, or people who do cosplays or accessorize or anything like that. Uh, they would be quite interested in that. But the main product, the ETB and the booster box, those two will, whether they print them to oblivion or not, whether they release infinite numbers of them or not, 10, 15 years' time, there'll be none of it left. It'll all be in my binder, or in somebody's binder. Somebody like me. Be in their binder as singles. And those singles will go, or they'll stay, and maybe they'll appreciate in value. Who knows? Who cares? But the booster box itself is a rare product, a sealed rare product. Physically rare. It isn't getting reprinted. Nobody cares about it. Like, it's not a hard concept to understand in my view. I am guilty of opening up product because I enjoy the game. You're supposed to enjoy the games that you enjoy. But that's the thing. When this market is doing what it's currently doing, and we're at the big burst, pre-burst part of the bubble, we will end up in a situation where these products are no longer able to be enjoyed by anyone. And as a result, people do drastic things. People will try and make a huge amount of money when it is absolutely not going to happen. And it will burn them. They'll get stuck with product. People will buy this product and keep it sealed as an asset. Doing that right now, when everything is really, really unstable and we're about to go through a really big burst, is probably one of the worst things people could do. But they'll do it because that's what people do. So, thank you for listening. Bye.